from Cleveland. Always. There's not a given.
Always. I was so bummed because I did a thing with an exercise with a mentee, and there was a writer, and I just made it anonymous, but changed all the artist references to names from Spinal Tap. And then like the production coordinator was Bobby Fleckman, and no, they didn't catch it. I was like, oh. That is my top tip for touring. Learn your Spinal Tap. Watch that. Watch it, because the longer you're in this industry, the more true it gets and the more funny it is.
That's true. You know what?
Or just know the best movies for after show bus watching.
My husband got me a cricket bat when he found out I was a tour manager when I first met him. I was like, that's amazing.
Hey, Isabella's joining us today. Hey, Isabella.
Well, I'm old enough to remember. I actually saw Spinal Tap in the theater when it came out.
Oh,
My
shit.
God.
I saw them on a festival live long time ago in Germany, out in a forest somewhere. And
you know, Stuart Ross tour managed them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I lived in
course
LA,
he did.
when I lived in LA, I had an office at the Village Recorder. My girlfriend at the time had an office there, upstairs from the main studio. And I was there when they did the reunion tour, and they brought in the wigs in glass cases. We had them in the lobby. Just all 4 wigs showed up.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I heard, God, what did I hear? I don't know who it was. I actually don't know who it was, but I remember reading once that some rock star like stormed out of the premiere because he thought it was like making fun of him.
Tyler?
I don't know.
I think it was
Maybe.
Steven Tyler. Yeah, I'm pretty
It's
sure.
An amalgamation of like every story that they heard. It's just that every
too
story is the
personal.
same.
Yeah.
Wow. Steven Tyler was triggered in the movie by that.
I would love to see Spinal Tap and Steel Panther on the same show.
Oh my God.
That's a lot.
Have you guys seen Steel Panther?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yes,
Isn't
that
that
would be amazing. That would be amazing.
But you
could
know
that,
what?
I mean, could that even happen?
Yeah, I guess anything could happen nowadays.
That would be the ultimate rock and roll tour.
But you got to be the tour manager that fits that vibe. You got to be like the Spinal Tap tour manager, and or just like have a revolving door of them.
Isn't
Probably a
everybody
revolving door of tour managers because everybody blows up or quits.
Well, right. Every time you change the drummer, you should change the tour manager too, right? That could be like living theater. It could be the life of Spinal Tap.
I mean, really, Stuart Ross is kind of the right tour manager.
Yeah,
I mean, what's the perfect tour manager?
So most of our students are listening right now having no idea what we're talking about.
Talking about Spinal. The first time I ever saw Spinal Tap was on a videotape on a tour bus. So that's probably
Did you say
way.
Videotape?
A VHS tape on a tour bus, because that's all the tour.
Beta.
Is that new?
No, because they had we had Blu-ray on the bus, but there was still a VHS, and there was a VHS tape of Spinal Tap in the bus. So like they hadn't replaced it. So we're like, let's watch Spinal Tap on videotape.
Charm says you just dated yourself. I'm like, Charm, don't make me say 8-track.
Yeah, but you know what? I gotta say, like, there were videotapes and VHS players living on tour buses long past the lifespan.
Yeah.
Like now, there's still like CD players, like little personal CD players, or I mean, like DVD players in each bunk. And the only purpose they serve is to hit your head on.
I was going to say the only purpose they serve is to take your elbows out.
Yeah, it's amazing how much outdated technology is out there. Like so many hotels still have the Nintendo 64 controller that like built into the TV, and it's like nobody even knows how to use that thing anymore. And it doesn't work. It's old tech. But
my favorite part of the tech on a bus is that you have all these like amazing like video and audio techs and just like who top of their game, and they walk on a bus and can't figure it out.
I know where you're going with
like
this.
Nobody can ever because it's all outdated tech. Like
how many departments does it take to figure out how to show a Netflix movie?
The satellites, when people had to try to figure out what channel the satellite had to go on, and then to do the roaming where you had to reset it and set it up.
I'm sorry, we were on a tangent today.
Sorry.
Y'all. But
Yeah.
I know.
Spinal Tap to satellite
Yeah.
dishes. VCRs,
Which
like,
all plays into it being Spinal Tap. Like the longer you're on tour, the better Spinal Tap gets,
Yeah.
basically.
So should we do a thing? Pull it together?
Yeah, let's
It's
do
like,
it.
now let's just,
Oh, wait.
one of these, so listen, one of these times, we're just going to show up here and do this for the whole entire hour and a half. We're just going to let it be TM 101, the production office after the show at a walk away.
after
We're just
hours.
going to do that. Yeah. TM 101. We're just going to do that one time. We're going to surprise
Load up,
everybody.
son. This is the time when we're waiting everybody to finish showers and we're all just kind of shooting the shit before
Exactly.
before bust.
Lighting is just now getting into the shower, followed by rigging. We're going to wrap it up soon. We got a few minutes before we have to, the gig huggers, the stragglers have to pry their stuff out of the production office and leave.
Let's put a pin in that maybe that's an episode for the next season of like outdated tech, old technology or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Or I
that
thought
would
you were
be
going to say
great.
gig hugging. That's another episode, gig hugging.
I want to understand what, was it Stuart was talking about telex? I'm like, that just sounds crazy.
You know what remember the telexes?
I've never seen a telex in my life.
Oh,
I have
wow.
no
So
idea what that is.
in between telegrams and faxes
Oh, yeah.
was the technology of telex. So it wasn't a telegram, but it came across the telephone wires and it printed out text.
Like a telegram, but text.
Kind of
Yep,
like
yep,
it was
like-
the laser disc of,
Yep.
of
Really?
DVDs.
Yeah.
You couldn't do photos, but you could do text, send
Right.
text over the
Only
phone line.
text. It would only print
Yeah.
out text.
God, that
Yeah.
sounds awful. I did have
Yeah.
a 1-800 pager on my very first tour.
Yeah. My first, I was pagers for years. Pagers and manila and legal pads.
By the
Right.
way, Elise Turner just revealed a secret talent in the chat. She says that her brother used to make her impersonate Bobby Fleckman, for those of you that that's relevant to. Okay. Hello, everybody. All right.
So let's
Shall
get
we? Let's get
yeah,
it.
it's Monday. Let's just get into it.
Oh,
We've already wasted 7 minutes of everyone's time. But Mark, what are we doing today? Oh, you're on-
Chatting.
Mark is not
Mark.
unmuting himself. That's what we're doing today.
Hey, sorry
There you
about that.
go.
I've been talking this entire time. It was Mondays.
That kind of
All
day.
right.
Speaking of Spinal Tap,
We've never
Speaking of
been here
Spinal Tap.
before.
Welcome to Spinal Tap Day on Tour Management 101.
Welcome back, everyone, to TM 101. We've made it to episode number 71. If you've yet to change your chat settings, please do. It helps us address questions and follow the chat. Also, if you haven't yet to follow us on YouTube and our other social channels, please do. That helps you stay up to speed with us and everything that's going on TM 101. Also, happy spring break for everyone who's celebrating spring break. After this episode, we are going to take a break to gear up for the next semester. So we'll make sure to keep you posted on all those movements. But like always,
So that's 2 weeks, guys. 2 weeks break after today.
two
2
week
weeks.
break. And like always, I pass it over to
Lauren, you heard?
my colleague, Henry Bordeaux, to kick things off. And we will start hitting our top 10.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, we're taking a 2 week break after this. So, but we do have good stuff coming. So here we go into the top 10. I don't have a long-winded intro today, but in no particular order, these are the top 10 tips that we agreed on as a group. Some of them,
Can I just
some of
add
them
something?
yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to add something. We put the topic together, and then when we prepped for it, I have to say that I'm a little bit surprised because where we went with it wasn't as hard exercise of the day as it was how to get and keep yourself right. And I thought that that was very interesting because the best practices that we all came up with together were a little bit different than I thought they might be when we started the discussion.
Yeah, it's true. We tried to balance ourselves and give some practical.
Derp. He's froze.
Am I froze?
I think we lost you at practical.
Oh, was we try to balance it where some of them are practical, some of them are esoteric.
Little glitchy, but all right, we got it. Yeah, some of it's practical and some of it's esoteric. We bounced it around for quite a bit, so I definitely think it's like our best, where we really thought at this point what we should be talking about, and hopefully we'll jam through it pretty quick and maybe have a few minutes to bring some opinions of our great colleagues to it. Go, Henry.
Right. So like we said, in no particular order, here's the first one. So have something outside the industry that will support you. Whether the industry folds or you want to retire, you need to have something outside of the entertainment industry, outside of touring, to be a part of your life. You're going to go off the road at some point, whether you want to or not, because sometimes there just are no jobs. Sometimes you get sick or injured or you want to retire. And so you need to start thinking about it now, about how you're going to get in and get out, but also have this side support for yourself. I don't know if I'm the best example, because when I started and in touring, I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have a degree. This was all I wanted to do. But I realized that I've in my time, I've been able to learn and gain a lot of skills that will allow me to find work off the road. And we've obviously had a year where we've had to, practice that. Each person has had to figure that out on their own during the pandemic. So we had some notes where we thought would be helpful because to each their own. Some people are in school and you may have only 1 or 2 classes to go before you can finish that degree. So you can at least put that on a resume. That does still speak loads to obviously have a resume and have some sort of higher education. It depends on what you want to do in life, but that's still always helpful. If you're not in school and you've been doing this for a while, take classes or think about how you can use your skills in a transferable way. That has been a big one for me. So much about touring, so much of what we teach here on TM 101 is transferable. We just happen to have formed these skills around a love for putting on shows and concerts. And so that's what we teach, but it applies to many, many other things. And we know that you can take this into other ways, but always be teachable. Things are constantly evolving in technology. Always learn and stay up to date. You don't want to be the old dog that can't learn new tricks. You always want to be on top of stuff and be open to what other people are doing and how they do it, because you may find a great way to do it, but there's always going to be some better way or faster way that you can learn from and take into your own and into your own skill set. But learn a skill that makes you valuable. That is a huge one. Me personally, have spent a lot of my free time over the years learning random valuable skills like flying planes and I don't know. I learned a lot about security because as a tour manager, I have to work very closely with that. And so that brings a lot of value to me to be able to understand, high level security measures. That is just one example, but maybe it is you're a tour manager. Can you learn audio? Can you learn to be a front of house engineer as well? You've now maybe doubled your chances of getting on tour and maybe doubled your rate. But also our last point to this was to teach others. They can lead to other work. As you come up, as we have all shown by example, we share our knowledge for free to everybody because it's up to you to take what we teach you and make it your own and find a path network. So you never know where it can lead to. Some of the students that I've mentored over the years have led to some of the biggest jobs that I've had over the last couple of years. It's quite amazing because everybody's always coming up, and that's how this game is sort of played. Everyone comes up together that is really in it and really looks out for the greater good of this industry. So I hope that was a good understanding of this first tip, but
we might have lost him.
He froze up.
He froze up. I think that was a great segment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm compelled to share so much off of that, but we're awfully chatty today, so I don't dare digress. We'll see if we have some time at the end to be chattier.
I felt long-winded, so that's great. You know,
because you froze. 5-1.
Mine is be smart with your money. And when we were doing our prep yesterday, hearing some stuff that Adrian said really hit home, but mine are, and this is one that I think MJ said, put 10% away of your income into savings, which I thought was really smart.
Day one.
Yeah. Because you said that if you would have done that, you'd be a millionaire by now.
I mean, not just on what I put away, but at that point, it's like once you start putting money away, and 10% doesn't seem like a lot, but when you start getting those bigger jobs, it is, and you start seeing that money, you start wanting it to work for you, and you start like, okay, how can I get a financial advisor and find out how to invest that? And, you know, like if I've been doing that since day one, absolutely. But, you know.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on this yesterday because we all agree, like, you know what, learn from us. Because I kick myself in the butt every day, but I'm smarter going forward by learning that I should have invested all that when I started making money in this industry. When you make decent money as you come up, even if you don't, like, you do a couple tours, you will be able to invest in, like I say, in real estate that will be able to give you some sort of cash flow. So when you are off tour, you still have a little bit of money coming in to support yourself. And then over time, that'll appreciate. Please be smart with your money. That's like, I feel like would rank high in our top 3.
Yeah. It's so tempting when you first start making that big money after like struggling to be like, I'm going to go buy a fancy pair of shoes or a really expensive car or whatever. And it's like, you kind of don't need those things.
And I'll admit that, like, living next to, I'll say, rock stars that live at a high level because they spend a lot of money. Like, I was like, for so many years, I'm like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'll spend the $80 room service right now just because I'm hungry and I'm just going to do it. You know, that's the way it is. Yeah. That is not a good way of thinking. It's not healthy. And it's a big bank drainer. There goes all your per diem in one meal. But
I've always lived way below my means, which I think has helped me, especially with the pandemic when it hit. It's like we were okay. So I think that's a great one. And like you guys just said, with your money, do you really need to spend $80 on room service? Do you really need that pair of shoes? You really don't. Because one of the things that I learned, and like Henry, all of us, when we're working with artists, their spectrum of how they spend money is completely different than ours. And we don't need to keep up with the Joneses. So I'm a jeans and t-shirt guy. If I have to wear, I'm sorry for what I'm getting ready to say, Jim. If I had to wear a suit, it's like a suit of armor for me. I just feel so uncomfortable with it. So if you look in my closet, it's pretty much swag and some collared shirts and blue jeans. That's all I really need. And that's all I really need my job. Unless, like Adrian was saying yesterday, we might have those events where we might need to have a suit, but I'll go out and spend money on a suit, but it's pretty much just going to stay in my road case for
till you need it.
2 years. Yeah.
But I wear all black, all mix and match.
Yep.
Who wears all black?
Less stuff. No, I even wear that as a civilian. I wear all black.
I mean, honestly, the other day I literally had to try and make an effort not to put on another all black outfit to go out walking. I'm like, really? Do we always have to look like we're going straight to a funeral? Why? I tried. I made the effort.
We're just programmed like that.
Yeah, it's all black all the time. I own other stuff, but
we all have capsule wardrobes, basically.
My place is
that's
all
a
black
wonderful
clothes.
term. I love that, capsule wardrobe.
How about having an emergency fund of 6 months?
Ooh.
After this year, I'm going to say a year.
Yeah, especially after the pandemic.
I mean,
that's tough to do.
It is.
I have that.
Yeah.
But don't they say that you should have 6 months?
6 months.
If you're going to buy like an engagement ring or something. So shouldn't we apply the same thing for our livelihood?
I want that engagement ring. Damn.
Yeah.
You're like, give me a house instead of an engagement ring. It's 6 months.
Right.
I love the one that Adrian said yesterday about put all your bills on auto pay. so you don't
Yeah.
mess up your credit. And then
That's a
go
really good
paperless
one.
on all your bills so you can see them online. I really like that one yesterday.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. You should save the trip
It's a big deal, because the one thing that you don't want to happen is while you're out there micromanaging somebody else's business and keeping it to the letter, your stuff is, you're incurring late fees, or your mortgage goes off, or your landlord's mad, or, the water's off and your roommate's having a fit, just because you haven't had the opportunity to turn around and make sure that all of your stuff is handled. So unless you have an opportunity, some people get it, some folks that tour a lot make a deal with the business manager that they work with, and they might get a bookkeeping kind of a sweetheart family deal for a little bit of bookkeeping or bill paying services. You might know a bookkeeper that does that. For me, most of the time, what I did was I made sure that I had a PO box that all my mail went to, because I'm single, right? Living alone. So my mail goes to my house and it just stays there. So rather than be beholden on someone to go check your mail for you, get a PO box, check in with your PO box people and have them send you your mail. Put all of your recurring bills on auto pay. Remind yourself in a calendar reminder once a month to check your account against the things that need to auto pay, and make sure everything is kosher. And that way you don't have all kinds of weird late fees and accounts and arrears and problems that literally were made for you and cost you money just because you were too busy to look at it. It's a really terrible feeling. So I really, that's number one for me, is to make sure
I was
that
going to add to that, because I did that for many years. I went full nomad, and the same system you're talking about, look up travelingmailbox.com, does the same thing. But you can get digital scans of your mail. And if you happen to get checks in there, they'll deposit them into your accounts for you. So it's amazing. Traveling Mailbox. It was great when I went full nomad for years, and I didn't live anywhere, but just had a virtual mailbox take care of me.
I did the same when I lived in the
great.
UK, because as a dual citizen, you have to keep a US address. And I didn't really want to put that on my parents. So I did the same thing, and it was great. Like being able to juggle that, and not have to worry about it, having somebody else keep up on it, or time zones or whatever.
Well, yeah. And I just want to mention one other thing, and this is really so obvious, but the one thing that we all learned this year is having a single income stream. That's a hot no. I don't think that we ever thought that we'd see the entertainment business literally stop in its tracks and disappear. And we've always been recession proof. And now we have seen that circumstances that we never thought would happen actually happen. So I encourage everyone to look around at what your little side hustle might be. Got a bunch of stuff in your house that you need to resell? Give it a whirl, start listing it. Can you, we have a friend, Heather, who had an amazing run of, finding furniture on Buy Nothing and fixing it up and selling it. You like stocks, you like investing, check it out. Do you feel like you might want to get into potentially, looking into how you can invest in real estate, own a home, own rental property? I encourage everyone to please explore not having a single income stream. It's crucial. Lessons learned 101. Yeah. And back over to MJ.
All right. So third tip, if you don't know how to do something, call someone who's done it and ask for help. So that's why we, talk about the importance of building relationships. And that's what a network is. So you can call on somebody, whether it's a peer or a mentor or just anybody, if you don't know what to do. And one example I used yesterday in prep was on my first tour. First of all, my first tour as a tour manager, I wasn't supposed to be the tour manager. I was supposed to be the road manager for the band. And that was when there was like a whole bunch of changes in record labels and tour support. The idea of tour support kind of went away, and our tour support got pulled. So there wasn't really the budget to have both a tour manager and a road manager anymore. And I was the only one who'd been hired, myself and the production manager. And management said, do you know how to settle shows? And you could just be the tour manager. I was like, yeah. And then I immediately called a tour accountant named Jeff Moss, who I knew from another tour. And I said, can you teach me how to settle? And he did. I went down to San Diego and we spent a whole day learning how to settle. And he ran me through audits and settlements and practice settlements. And when I got out on the tour, inevitably there would be times when I just would be in the middle of a settlement and not remember what to do or not know something. And so I'd be like, I need to go check on the band. I would just go leave and call somebody, call him or call another tour manager friend. And I mean, talk about, there are no stupid questions. Like I would, things like I would be like, hey, in a plus deal, is the guarantee an expense? Because, when you're first settling, sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around, and I would just forget. So, and that really helped me, like people being willing to talk me through that. And
mentality, getting over that, the fear of that. I remember having that fear of like, this promoter is going to see right through me and know that I don't know what I'm doing. But then, and then instead of having that point of view of like, oh shit, well, and I'll just do what they do. And I'll just sign it and go with it. Like you turn it around. And then once I embrace that, like, okay, promoter, you're going to teach me what I don't understand about this right now. Cause I'm stuck on this. I need to understand why, but I've also like gone and tried to figure it out myself from other people. Like I know I have FaceTimed like Judd White into a settlement before and been like, dude, like, look at this sheet. Like, what does this mean to you? Help me through it. And then, and to just, and that sort of mentality of like wanting to learn rather than being the person that's like, oh yeah, no, I know how to do this, but you really don't. The people that are willing to put their learning first and want to learn and be the sponge that soaks up everything and learns the right way, those people go up fast in this industry. They actually do stick out. We notice you.
Yeah.
Notice.
And the thing is by asking for help, that is networking in and of itself. It's like you're building a closer relationship, and it might not be with, like I said, like a mentor or somebody's done it, who's done it for more years. It might be a peer. I mean, I call my peers all the time. It's like, hey, in fact, like for example, the first time I was in Dubai, I reached out to somebody that I had worked with who I knew had been there. And I was like, hey, what can I expect from this place, from this promoter? And he gave me his input and then said, hey, why don't you talk to our tour manager, who I'd never actually met? And I got on the phone with her, and it was a great conversation, and I learned a lot and made a new friend, made a new connection. And so I think that, if you don't know how to do something, ask, because it can lead to so many great things, not just like Henry said, you're learning, but it can lead to new connections. You get better at what you do. It's like, you're not an island. None of us are an island.
And also remember what Pete Yozell said. Pete Yozell was, fully took whatever he needed to know. And if he needed help, he took a gig. And if he needed help, he called John Lafferty as many times as he needed to. And the thing is, if you've got something good happening, everyone who is around you that supports you, if you call your friends and you say, I got this thing happening, everyone who is around you that supports you is going to do whatever they can to lift you up in that job and help you with resources. Again, we're moving out of a time, I think, in this business, thankfully, where everything was so secret squirrel and behind the curtain. And now we all understand that it is beneficial to the health of this industry for us to lock hands and arms and move forward together and share information and be there for one another and network together. And that's the way that everyone will succeed. So definitely call your friends. And when your friends get gigs, help them in them.
Yeah, I think 100%. In general, people want to see you succeed. Like we want to see each other succeed and be good, because it just makes us all good at what we do, So, and then if you succeed, then I know I can recommend you for other things. If I, like for example, if I get offered a gig and I can't do it, and I know that you've succeeded at something else, I know you're the right person to recommend. Ooh, 5-1. What?
I want you to recommend me for when you get a gig offer and you don't take it. So I'm just raising my hand.
Don't we all?
Right?
Anyway, off to you, Mark.
Okay, great. So for tip number 4, set your tone. As a new and upcoming tour manager, you may not think about a lot of different things that you may face on the road. Setting a tone for the tour based on what your tour's needs are, and set your tone as the TM on that tour. Before the tour, get to know what the tour's needs are. Is it an experienced band, crew, or are they new to touring? What will the expectations be of you, and what will your expectations be for the tour? Also, just hitting these points, and then we can all kind of run through it, our experiences, but have a pre-tour meeting, even in rehearsals, where you communicate the structure of the tour to everyone and introduce everyone. Let everyone ask questions and talk about how things will be done. Get on the same page. This will help set the tone for the tour and alleviate. Did I say that right? Did I pronounce that right? Alleviate any guesswork on anyone's part. When on tour, do team building stuff. Sometimes the most successful team building is stuff like doing a parking lot barbecue or Roadie Friday. So everyone is there hanging out together and doesn't infringe on days off, personal time. Also, I know it's going to fluctuate between teams, but introduce the artist to everyone on the tour. Find an appropriate way to do that. Often it is in the parking lot, barbecue, or even in rehearsals. Have a little downtime to have a mixer and intro everyone. And I loved what Henry had mentioned that he had done for on tour. You had brought up that you kind of walked your artist around or introduced your team and 5-1 as well, right?
Yeah, because I learned it from 5-1. Having now, like we said, that this may not work for every artist, so please do this at your own discretion. But I first saw this done when I was a stage manager and for Fall Out Boy, and 5-1 had Fall Out Boy come out on stage, and the entire crew was lined up on the deck, and everybody went down the line and said hi, and they introduced themselves, what they did. And I thought it was just a really cool moment to really bring the crew together, but also create that camaraderie between the band and the crew. And but I took that and over the years have made it a thing where in a rehearsal day, I'll sit with my crew and have our pre-tour meeting out on the floor or in catering or wherever. But we'll have the crew meeting. But then I'll ask everybody to go back to their respective workstations. Go to your worlds, wait there, and then I've timed it to where the artists would come in around that time. And I love on the first day of the rehearsal, try this to earn some brownie points with the artists. Bring them in right to the floor and start the show if you can, because sometimes if you can start the track and the lights and the show without them, show them what the start of the tour and the show, the intro is going to look like. And I make it a moment where I have all the lights off and they walk in and the show just starts. And if you can create that wow moment, because the artist is never going to be able to see that ever because they're going to be on stage. So if they can get a glimpse of what you've put together for them, it's a really powerful moment. And then I would take the artist around to each station to meet the crew. Hey, this is so-and-so. She's in charge of this. This is so-and-so. He's in charge of that. And they get to see who's where and what they're doing. And it's a really great way to do it. But like we said, some artists like Adrian would never be able to get Janet Jackson, out to go visit the guitar tech onto the stage, maybe, or maybe not. Questionable.
Here's the thing. You got to kind of pick if you can position something, if you can create an outing or a gathering where your artist of great stature can have some invisibility and anonymity in a situation, like, for example, don't try to go out in the middle of downtown Chicago, but perhaps there's an off spot in Buffalo, a Thursday night wing joint, and then your artist might come out. So to answer that, yeah, if you create, yes, it has happened. I have been able to get some pop stars to some low-key places at times if you do it correctly. I'm also a big fan of the tour manager buys the first round post-up. I like to send out a note on a day off and say, hey, tomorrow at 7:00, we're going to be at X local pub. I got the first round. Come see me for a drink ticket. Not mandatory, no penal, nobody's penalized or called antisocial if you choose to have a day off where you don't want to see anybody. But I always like to do a mixer, give everybody a minute to come and just hang with each other outside of the gig, particularly if people are working real hard. Some gigs are really, really intense and there's not a lot of sleeping time and there's, you got lot more back to back. So I think it's lovely to let people know that you're thinking about them in that kind of way. And I will take it out of my own pocket, by the way, and do that.
I like that, Adrian.
Yeah.
When I've played here in Atlanta, we've had a couple of days off, especially during the summer. I have people come over for a pool party at my house, and we'll have like 5 or 6 tour buses pull up in our cul-de-sac, and we take alcohol that's off the buses, not all of it, of course, and we use that for like free drinks, and I'll cater in like barbecue and chicken wings, and people can get in the pool and get in the hot tub, play with the dogs. And I've found that the artists kind of like to come over also, because it's just kind of like they're out of the hotel for a change. It's kind of an enclosed environment.
Yep.
And they can just chill with everyone. So if we could do that, if you can, invite people over to your house on some of those days off, because
that's a great one.
they want to see a little bit of the home life instead of just hotel, airport, venue, hotel.
I think something that Adrian said that was key too is that don't make it mandatory, because there are some people that like really need that day off. Like that's just how they work. It's like, for their own sanity, like they just need to be alone, and that's fine,
True story.
We all need our alone time.
And the last thing you want to do is make anybody feel like if they don't show up to a tour gathering, that might seem, ungracious or anything other than. And look, there are times when I've decided to do a thing and not want to attend my own party. I'd rather, just put on my jammies and order some room service and watch some stupid television. So do you know what I mean? So what did Teresa say? No forced socializing for introverts. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Come join. And again, I always specifically reach out to the folks I think may not be the most comfortable and say, I would love for you to just come have a sip of a beverage with me. And then you can disappear if you feel comfy. So it's important to understand who's on your tour and, just know who your people are. I think it's important. Make sure that everybody's okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've also done that. I've also done that in rehearsals before, which like if you're doing several days of rehearsals, not the loadout day, but if there's like an easy day and you're putting it away and, it's like having a barbecue, like arranging it with the rehearsal place to have a barbecue there in the parking lot. Or I've had an artist invite everybody over right afterwards, if people want to come, and that's kind of nice too, because you get that intro. And frozen.
Yeah. I love that move. Like this, your network is built in parking lots in this industry, honestly. Like, and it doesn't even have to be a big grand affair. Honestly, I've made I've set a great tone by just putting a cooler full of drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, in the middle of a parking lot and letting the crew hang out and stand around it and shoot the shit and get to know each other. Because in the first couple of days of tour, that's setting the tone with everybody. Because then people are going to start to realize, oh yeah, we worked together on this, or like, oh, so-and-so, I was on this tour. And it's an amazing sort of, everybody finds the 6 degrees of separation between each other, because they have to, because we're about to go into, strategic warfare on a long tour, and we get to know each other in such a grand way that I know that we have recommended on this show to go check in with your crew every day or at work and see what they need and what they need to do their jobs, right? We've abundantly made that important, that your job is to take care of whatever the crew needs. But that's in a work sense. I want to stress now that we're talking about in a personal nature outside of work, when you can really as a human to human on tour, how you doing? We're off right now. How's your day? How are things going at work? That's the tone that we're talking about. That really helps keep the glue together, I guess. That was a great point, Mark. I'm glad you brought this one up.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And setting the tone up front is really you're going to feel that throughout the tour. So it's super important to lay those foundations that are going to carry you throughout from start to finish. And so I'm going to pass it over to Adrian.
Hi. um, we are talking about logistics. So one of the things might get caught. How are we good? Are we all right? I just heard a glitch and I looked up and my computer just sent me 14 messages about my microphone. Really strange. You can hear me? We're good?
Yeah, you're good.
Can I hear you? Okay, I can hear. This is great.
No, we can hear
Normal
you.
service has
Solid.
resumed. Okay. Um, so what we were talking about yesterday is, you think you have everything dialed in, right? And what we want to make sure that everyone understands is just pay special attention to the minute logistics and movements and get ahead of that. We all have our advances. We're all booking hotels. We're looking at booking bus parking. What I mean by this is after you've got your bus parking, you think you've got it sorted at the beginning of the tour or at some point, get together with your lead drivers, talk with them about your plans for parking in areas, because your bus and truck drivers, if you're booking your parking through potentially maybe a travel agent or the hotel, there are times when your bus drivers might say, listen, that street gets really crazy. There have been a rash of bus break-ins on that block. We end up getting parking tickets. There's all kinds of things that your guys on the street will know that you may not know. So having a little bit of a logistics meeting with your vehicle people, your lead drivers, your lead truck driver, establish who that is. Make sure you have a great relationship with that guy, because your lead truck driver is going to be the guy that ends up marshaling your vehicles in the morning. When you're coming in, when you're loading into a venue, particularly if you're in a city venue downtown that doesn't have a ton of bus and truck parking, your lead drivers are going to need to be in great communication with one another. You've got to know which vehicles are need to park closer to the venue, what truck has to stay close, what can go away, things like that. So that's the kind of stuff that you want to make sure that your team is talking about. You may not always be involved in every single conversation, but get those logistical conversations going ahead of time. Don't wait until you have a situation where you can't fit your bus under the porte cochere at the hotel because it doesn't fit, or your drivers think it's a horrible idea to park there and they move and you don't know that they've moved. So have these logistics conversations in advance. Another tip was, adding a little bit of buffer time. This is hedging. This is how you hedge it a little bit. Don't look at what your timelines are for getting folks out of hotels and into venues and leave them there. Add yourself 15, 20, 30 minutes. And if you're dealing with an artist who runs a good 30 to 45 late, you might want to fudge your times. There's an art to understanding how your people move and how you need to time their departures and how you need to communicate. Mark, you got anything to add to that? Because you have a lot to say about that.
Like, it's a skill set that I never thought that I would pick up. Like, it literally came out of nowhere. Like, artists running late, or you have some people that have a tendency to kind of hold you back. I ended up telling them, and it was an hour earlier, and they showed up they made it on time. You figure out who those people are, for better or worse, and you adjust the times to work for them, to where they're showing up right on time. And that was my little add to that. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many bands that I've worked with where, like, say it was like a 4-piece, and 3 of the people in the band I would tell one time to, and they understood that I was going to tell that 4th person a different time, and they all understood that. And it was, the communication was there because they knew that person ran late.
I've had artists who I do a different day sheet with different times on it than I do everyone else, that because I know they're going to be an hour or two of the show, even show times, setting show times 45 minutes to an hour earlier, knowing that they'll get there on time if they think they're going to be an hour late. I've had a couple artists that I've had to do that with.
I had an artist get mad because they found out that I was padding their times, and they got so upset that they locked themselves in the hotel room and didn't come out for like 2 hours.
I had an artist
That's
that
precious.
I had an artist that on stage, no matter where we were in the world or what time zone or what time the show actually started, wanted to have a clock on the monitor desk, and one that was, LED with the really big numbers, so that we always started at 8 p.m. It didn't even matter what time it was. He just knew that way in his head. He always knew we had to finish by 10. So that on tour, it was fine. Like everybody on the tour knew, and it actually helped us a lot because it just made nice round numbers. But man, it confused local crews. That's not so much padding the time as just making it work for the artist's brain. But
I mean, that's a good one. And yeah, I guess logistics, timing, things of that nature. Also, just one I'm going to add in there, the difference between your lobby call and your departure time. If you put a lobby call time, chances are your gang is going to waddle into the lobby for that lobby call. So make sure you differentiate when the bus is actually rolling and give people a real target. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of conversation about well, you said lobby call, but that's not so, right? So don't put lobby call and then roll the bus at lobby call. Put departure time. Put lobby and
that's one of those things I have when you have that opening meeting. We've talked about having that pre-tour meeting with everybody.
Right.
That's one of those things I have then is like, but I know I put bus call, but bus call means
that was a good one
at this time. Not that you show up in the lobby, but that you're on the bus, bags in the bag, bus pulls out.
Set that tone.
Yeah. That's why I try really hard not to use the word lobby call anymore. Because lobby call just to me, like, it's like, just be down here. And it's like, I try to find other wording.
I actually do now. I put a lobby call time for checking out, and then I put a departure time. And ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Craig Finley is in the building today. Hi, Finn. Lovely to see you. He says, one of the things for his advanced logistics, he always talks to the leads the day before each play to be sure we're on clear for the load in sequence, the park up, who's parking off site, and how we're ferrying them. And for Mr. Craig Finley's tip number 54, don't do crack. Awesome. Go Finn. Funnest guy to tour with ever.
Like about bus call, like set that tone. Be clear. Be strict, but don't be a jerk about it. There's no need to be mean to people or be rude in the mornings, People are human, especially as we go back to work, y'all. Be kind. Mm-hmm. We're all getting used to this again.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Jim?
All right.
Like luggages?
Let's talk about luggage, both packing and investing in good luggage. Let's start out with investing in good luggage.
Because nobody in touring is a luggage geek at all.
And one of the things that you'll think early on, go to Walmart and buy that cheap piece of luggage because it's affordable and it's cheap. You're going to do a lot better investing in something that's quality. And there's Tumis, there's a lot of, everybody's got an opinion as to what that bag is, but invest in good luggage. It'll save you, because you think you might buy that $75-$100 bag, but you're going to be buying, 5 or 6 throughout the year. Where I've had a Tumi that I'm getting ready to retire, I bought 12 years ago, and it cost me $650, which at that time was a lot of money. But if you add up like what I would have spent on cheap bags, and then nothing's worse than waiting at that luggage carousel and finding your bag destroyed because you didn't invest in something that was strong and good. We've all been there.
Missing a wheel. That is the worst.
Yeah. You don't want to be the tour manager that has to lead the way and you got a busted wheel and you're dragging your luggage behind you. It's a terrible look.
or carrying in your arms because the zipper broke. So you're carrying it all in your arms and trying to drag the
Yeah.
zipper behind it.
Come on. One time I rolled into Paris with the zipper, just that was it. It was a cheap piece of luggage that I picked up in Hawaii, and I thought that was cool. It had turtles, and by the time it made a trip across the pond plus a few trips in and out of the bus, the whole thing could not go on a plane. I had to take all of my stuff and put it in one of those weird sort of emergency bags that they give you at the airport, because there was no luggage that I could even buy on site. And then they shrink wrapped it. So I literally rolled into Paris with a shrink wrapped egg. Word.
Well, Jim, your bag averaged out to a little over $60 a year.
Yeah,
For paying for that.
That's what I'm saying.
Great
Like
investment.
it really pays off it's an investment for sure. And it's probably, honestly, besides maybe work cases and a few other like computers, it's probably one of our most important tools that we have that comes with us on every tour. And the next thing on that is also a few different types of bags. You want a big bag for when you can carry your stuff, or you want that big bag to check in and you're out for a long time where you can pack, a week or 2 weeks worth of stuff in there. Then there's the fly dates. I know, Henry, you had some really good advice on like different sizes of bags to have. And
well, my advice was, I have a lot of different types of bags. I've got the hard shell bags. I've got different shoulder bags or rolling bags. But, I made a note yesterday that I prefer not to take my small hard shell bag, which I love the most. It's a carry-on size, but I don't take that if I know I'm doing a private jet run, because on private jets, now you can put your luggage in the back, but typically, if I need something close by, I know it needs to be like fabric and like malleable, because you're gonna have to stuff it behind the seat or stuff it somewhere, and so you can't stuff the hard bags as well, and so you need to have a little bit of room. But Jim was saying that like my artist. My main client doesn't ever check bags. In 3 years, he's never checked a bag. So everybody in a party cannot, that's our rule, no check bags. You have to go carry on. So you have to get really great at packing and understanding like how to fit a lot of clothes and a lot of scenarios in one little carry on.
a word that Mary Jo used yesterday was editing. I love that. Mary Jo, maybe you want to tell your story on that, because that was a great example.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did a month-long promo run with an artist before their album came out a few years ago. And so it was me and him and a guitar. And then we had an audio engineer on either side of the pond. So one in North America, and one of our engineers was based in the UK. So it made it really easy to just jump around and do like TV and radio and whatever, because the engineer would meet us. And he liked to travel, same as Henry's artist, all carry on. And he said to me, he said, if you're planning on checking a bag, he's like, you're gonna have to take a taxi because I just like to walk out and go. So he helped me edit. He actually helped me a lot with like editing, and I had to really think about like, am I really gonna wear this? And that's when I was saying earlier about mixing and matching. Like everything I own is black or gray, and I can bring like, God, I can do 2 weeks in a carry-on easy, and it's just bringing the right shoes and just knowing it's like if you need to, and also like having the right kind of clothes, so editing, and what, it's served me well ever since. It's like my big bag that I bring to check under the bus is usually one of the smallest ones. My big bag is 26 inches. It's like I just don't need more than that now.
You mentioned the type of clothes is important, I feel like, because like I typically don't buy, or I don't bring anything that needs to be dry cleaned on tour. No way. If I can't throw it in a washer, then and it not get ruined, I'm not taking it. But also, this was the point to where, say, dress specifically for the tour. Like I said yesterday in our planning, that if I'm going to do a European festival run and I'm doing like 2 weeks of festival dates that I'm flying in and out of every day, this is a common thing. And I know it's going to rain, it's going to be hot, muddy, and I'm flying, so I need to pack light. So I will pack a bunch of lightweight dry fit material, stuff that you can, it's cool when you sweat in it, but also if you need to, you can wash it in the sink and it's like hang it up and it's ready to go in the morning. So you can just rotate clothes that way. But my gems for packing is space saver bags. We've all seen them. Now there's two types. There's
Packing cubes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Packing
That's
cubes.
what I was about to say.
Maria
Yeah.
said, so packing cubes.
Tell our students what packing cubes are.
So, I mean, packing cubes are amazing. You can compartmentalize. And so I will like put t-shirts in one little cube and then, my socks and boxers in another. Look up there's regular cubes that just zip up, but look up compression packing cubes. There's an extra zipper that goes around that makes, the cube that's now like this go flat. And so you can save more room sometimes. But
do you know what? I know somebody, I worked with a tech on tour who plans out what she's going to wear every day for like 10 days and puts the outfit in a cube. So all she has to do is pull the cube. And the other thing she taught me was instead of putting your cubes, just stacking them, she puts them vertically and she'll put a piece of tape on them and label them by day, or you could label them by t-shirts and oh my God, you can fit so much more. So it's amazing.
My last gem was for the laundry. I have a collection of laundry bags from nice hotels from around the world. So I do use the regular cotton laundry bags, but a great tip is to use the space saver bags, the compression bags that you can, not the kind that you need a vacuum to suck the air out of, but there's a bag that you can roll the air out of. You get down on it and roll it down. Use that as your laundry bag, because then you can take your big laundry that is, oversized from a week, put it into this space saver bag, roll it shut and flat, and it takes the smell out and it makes it super small. So it's amazing. And yeah. And it's also like, if anything gets wet, if you went to a pool or something and oh crap, like, my board shorts are still wet, from the hotel pool or something, you can pack it in that. It's a nice wet bag too. So that's it.
MJ, can you talk about what you did, having a spare toiletry bag and leaving it at a hotel, and what you've done with that?
Oh yeah. So I always have a toiletry bag. Did I just crash?
No,
Sorry.
you're good.
Okay.
You're
My internet is doing weird stuff. I know. I always have a toiletry bag at home that's just completely packed with and ready to go. So like, and it, it's duplicates of my stuff from real life, so like, razor and toothbrush and toothpaste and everything. And that is packed and ready to go and always fully stocked, so that when I have to pack and go on tour, I don't have to worry about it. It's just like dink. And the other thing is that when I have been doing, if we're flying a lot and staying at the same hotel, if you have a good relationship with a hotel, especially certain brands, and if they have a really great entertainment sales manager, but a lot of them are really used to keeping stuff, especially if you deal with this is going to sound really snooty, but they're really great for touring, is the Soho House properties. Like I would just leave a toiletry bag when I was going back, like, especially like on that promo run. And then it became a tour. We spent a lot of time in certain properties, like in London, and I would just leave stuff there so I didn't have to bring it, and it's so helpful if you're
that's a pro level hack for sure, but only do that if maybe your artist is staying there
a lot. You can't just be like, well, you wouldn't want to either, because you would end up just having stuff there that you never see again. But if you go through there a lot on one tour, I mean, I think this one particular hotel in London, we probably stayed there 10 times in 1 year.
Yeah. And a lot of times we satellite out of hotels, especially if we're staying with the artist, we're satelliting out of the same place. So it makes sense to leave stuff there, and because you're coming back either not that night or the next day or whatever. If you're checking out even for a day or two or a week, it makes sense to leave a bag there and whatever you need there, even if it's your laundry bag.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what? Someone put in the chat there, don't send your laundry out through the hotel. You're crazy if you do that, unless you like really, really have to, but be very careful, because you said timing wise, they're not always on time, but I guarantee it is 1,000 times more expensive than doing it anywhere else you find. So
it's also 137,000 times more expensive.
Yeah. Although one of the thing too is dry cleaning actually can make sense doing it from a hotel, because it is much cheaper,
Yeah.
and much cheaper and faster, and they usually guarantee returns that you can count on it. So I end up doing a lot of dry cleaning, and I find that hotels are the easiest way to do it because they'll just bring it to my room and it'll be there when I come back to it.
Yeah, sometimes the only way and
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get it done. And so it's like, okay, that's, we have to pay the cost to get this done because it's typically you're doing that because it's show clothes. It's the artist's clothes that are needed for the show or something the next day.
One, can you talk about having your carry-on pack planned and what you do for that?
Yeah. The last group that I worked for, we had 3 principals, and they're a legacy act, so they like to carry their own carry-on bags. But I have a Rolly computer bag, and it's a Toomey, and I always have one handbag also, which is also Toomey. But with that, it can fit over the handles and just slide down. And sometimes 1 or 2 of the artists, if they're carrying theirs, I could just slide, and they get tired, especially if you're doing long walks to the airport. I can just slide theirs on there also, and then still have a free hand just in case they need a Sharpie or they need something else. So, and yeah, Mark has one. And I used to like backpacks, but I found that, walking through the airport with a backpack, taking it on, taking it off, I just like rolling something and then having help with that, with the artists who are carrying their stuff. So I like to roll stuff. That's just me.
And MJ, can you talk about what you like to keep in your carry-on in case for emergencies?
Yeah. So having had airlines lose my luggage before when it was on a tour where, it was a long tour and I had a checked bag, I always like to make sure I will do a compression cube, and I will do like a change of underwear, socks, maybe a shirt, something that's sort of like a decent looking shirt, maybe like just a long sleeve black t-shirt and maybe like a black pair of trousers, so that I can at least look decent and feel good. And in a travel toothpaste and toothbrush. So at least if they lose my luggage, I don't have to just be in the clothes I just traveled like 12 hours in or something. So that has served me well. If you put those in a compression cube, they hardly take up any space, but it's really nice to have them in case you need them.
Did you have one more comment before we move on to you?
Yeah, back to laundry and dry cleaning. Another thing that I like to do on my tour is that I will, along with my production assistant or coordinator, each city will kind of do and in my database, I have a list of all the fluff and folds that are close to whatever venue that we're playing at. And then we just print all of those out on a PDF, and then we just have them so well in advance. And they come in handy on days off too. So you could just know, oh, there's a fluff and fold that's 2 blocks away. We can just walk and drop off our stuff and still have our day free. So that's another cheaper way to do it than sending it out from the hotel.
Yeah, absolutely.
On to you, 5-1.
Was I do this for some artists. If you have this relationship, you can do for them. I've typically packed within their wardrobe, whatever they're going to typically wear for the show, or I would send ahead with their luggage or their dressing room kit or something. I would make a toiletry bag for my artists. I would find out like what items they use, and I would have a little kit of all of their personal items that would always travel with the gear or with the suitcase that was going to go to their dressing room. So my artist always knew that there was going to be basically another toiletry kit of their own in their dressing room when they arrived. And so they didn't have to pack or bring as much. And so it really brought added value as well. They loved it. It was a great little feature to kind of keep stocked for them.
Good advice. 5-1.
Thank you, sir. Take advantage of travel programs. Sign up for every frequent flyer program, every frequent hotel program. I'll give you an example why. When I started with John Legend, this was eons ago, we had him sign up for everything. And this was before he and Chrissy had gotten married. So we stockpiled a bunch of stuff. And we did a lot of corporate shows for like Delta and American. So we set up deals with our agent that not only would, they pay us for playing these corporate events, but for Delta, hey, throw John and Chrissy like 250,000 free miles. It doesn't cost the airlines anything to do it. So when they went on their first vacation together, they went to China for 2 weeks. They used all of their frequent flyer miles and stayed at all the hotels that they could use their frequent hotel points. And when I got their Amex bill back from 2 weeks, they spent, and no shit, $2,176.33 US dollars, because they used all of their frequent hotel points and frequent flyer stuff. So that's another great way to save money. So sign up for everything that you possibly can.
Yeah, I paid for my entire honeymoon, and I spent a month in Bali, and all of that was on points and frequent flyer miles. And so saving up for my entire career for that was well worth it.
And also with the artists, we usually use their Amex cards on tour. They can get all those Amex points also. So it's a huge win-win. So sign up for everything that you possibly can. And on to you, Mark.
All right. 1 second. I have it in full screen. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Take personal time to yourself. Self-care doesn't mean pedicures on a day off or spa treatments at special times. It means maintaining your personal, mental, and physical health on a daily basis and giving yourself some me time. Give yourself even just 10 minutes a day to step outside and not work or take a work phone call. Eat something healthy each day. Also, carry a few creature comforts to make yourself feel sorted. Adrian, would you like to tell us a little bit about one of your creature comforts?
Yeah, I carry a NutriBullet in a small one in my luggage with a Ziploc filled with protein powder. And when I'm really feeling it, I also have workout bands that I carry in my luggage. So if there's 20 minutes, like if I can get 20 minutes of exercise, that's going to be a head game changer for me. And then at least, I might have packets of oatmeal in my bag, just knowing that you can have a proper start of the day nourishment for yourself sometimes just makes the whole day start out better. So just having a little bit of something that you carry with you. I also, for sake of being green, I carry personal utensils because, also, by the way, if you have a coffee maker and a pack of oatmeal and you open the oatmeal and you put it in a coffee cup, you run the coffee maker, it heats it up. Now you got to eat the oatmeal with a pen, so if you carry your own little bits, you're kind of got a little self-contained jam and you can take care of yourself and you don't need room service or anybody, but maybe some ice and a bottle of water. And that's just, how I keep my little bubble intact and healthy.
Henry, you got a great one. What's your go-to?
My creature comforts. It's no secret that I'm a huge peanut butter and jelly fan. And so I would do this thing with my travel agent where we in our advance with the hotels would tell them that I was a huge peanut butter and jelly fan. And it was a part of our rider. It was part of my rider that I wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a glass of milk in my hotel room when I arrived. And so just joking, like I'm not like a diva or anything, but it's like, if you're going to, typically they're nice and send up a cheese plate and wine and stuff. And I just didn't want that. And so I wanted my creature comfort. And I was like, look, if they're going to go out of their way, it's going to be something I want. And so I would ask for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it was fun. It actually became a thing. And so their like head chefs would get really into the idea and make not just, the same old PBJ, but like I'd stay at like the Mandarin Oriental and the hotel, and the head chef would make sushi inspired PB&J, and he would like roll it. It looked like sushi rolls and served with chopsticks. And it was like, and so like it's every hotel sort of got into it, and it was like a thing that I did for a while. That was my creature comfort. Other than that, I asked for dogs on the rider sometimes to play with.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But I guess making rounds, mine's pretty simple. Like I just wanted to make sure that I had my like morning health covered on the food front. I was just like, can I please have a banana, a protein bar, a kombucha, and like a coffee, and at least a multivitamin at that. And usually I'm traveling with it at the most part, but like it's good to have those like core 4, 5, because you never know how your day is going to tailspin. So I feel like as long as you get your like healthy like essentials in before the day goes, it literally will help carry you through the rest of the day. I found, so Jim, what are yours?
Well, in my best days are nerds, coffee, Mountain Dew, and a flower. But that's my rider. But that is more of a different thing. That was actually more of a check-in to make sure that people were paying attention. But yeah, for me is like, I need coffee in the morning. That's my main function, just to get that going and checking in with my day.
The chat's really funny right now. I think the outtakes from this episode is the question, what have you eaten? What unorthodox utensil have you used to eat food in your hotel room? Because right now I see a key card. What else? So that's going to be the fun outtakes at some point will be that.
Do a whole
Very
episode
funny.
on it. An
Very
ironing
funny.
board makes for a great table on your bed because if it's adjustable, the ironing board is a great desk.
Oh,
MJ.
Sari, did you hear that? An ironing board makes a great desk, bed desk. I never knew that. That's a new one.
Before I pass the Jim, MJ, what are your creature comforts?
I'm kind of a minimalist on tour. I don't bring a lot of, honestly, that's like part of my comfort level is I don't like carrying a lot of crap around.
Yeah, but what's that one thing, MJ?
Space. I like to walk away. I like to go
Not that one, the
outside.
other
I
thing.
don't really bring
The dry
stuff.
shampoo.
Oh, that's right. Oh
The
my
dry
God. I
shampoo,
totally forgot
yes.
about that.
No,
Dry
that's okay,
shampoo.
that's
Okay, I'm going to go on my dry shampoo thing. Okay, this is why dry shampoo is a thing for me. But it's like a bigger thing than just like, oh, it helps. So a friend of mine who is a hairstylist taught me how to use dry shampoo instead of just like when your hair gets dirty, like use it for anybody who has like long hair. But when you wash your hair, like on a day off, immediately after washing it and drying it, use the dry shampoo and like spray it in your roots and like massage it in and then like brush it through. And you'll get like an extra 2 or 3 days before you have to wash your hair because it kind of like stops the oils. So for me, saving time, it's like a really big thing in saving time at night. And also like, I like to take, if I'm going to take a shower in a venue, I like to make it as quick as possible. And especially, which obviously if you're in a smaller venue, that helps so that everybody can get a shower. But also like, I really don't like to take showers at arenas if I don't have to. I don't know. I don't feel super safe all the time. And, that makes it so I'm like not washing my hair for a really long time and I'm like in and out and rinsing if I have to do it. So it's not just a function of like, not having to wash my hair as much and practicality, but it's also a time saver and safety. So yes, dry shampoo. Thank you for reminding me. Totally forgot about that.
And
That
kids
is my thing.
That's Mary Jo's thing. I had to pull you back into yourself for a second. And kids, don't forget your shower shoes. If no one has told you about your shower shoes, please go to Old Navy and get yourself some rubber flip-flops and carry them with you always, at least one pair because you always leave them, but definitely have some shower shoes so that when you hop in the shower in the venue, your feeties are all right and they stay that way.
And you use them on the plane also in the nasty bathrooms and planes if you take your shoes off, especially international flights.
That's a big one. On to you, Jim.
All right. It's really important to remember that you have a life outside of touring. I know if you have a significant other in your life, you probably
speak for yourself.
but set a time to talk every day if you can do that. I know that I think Chris Gratton was on here and mentioned that the tour that he was on took a moment every day to call people, but I think, beyond that, I think it's important to like keep in touch with your friends and your family, because I learned years ago coming out on tour, you go home after being out, even if it's a 6-week run, and your life just kind of like continues on from that tour. But your friends have had a life for the last 6 weeks without you. Their kids have done this, they've done that. So I think it's really important to, like, even if it's an email, to keep in touch, check in, let people know you're thinking of them, developing those relationships that you have at home, and a connection to home while you're on the road is really important.
I would actually like to add to that as well, because I've fallen into a trap You know, like we do get on that racetrack and we get engulfed with our responsibilities, and we tend to put our home life in the back burner. And I come back and it's like I've been in cryo sleep for almost 4 months, and I'm going back and life has happened without me. And it's tough to really hold those relationships together when everyone is here or at home living their lives and moving forward, and you kind of disconnect from that. So it's super important to make sure you're staying in touch with all your friends at home.
And the other thing is to find outlets that ground you outside of touring. Can you guys have any examples of what you do? I know Doug bikes and DJs. Anybody else got some examples of that?
I try to go snowboarding as much as humanly possible.
Huge cyclist, biggest cycling nerd. So
Drums for me, and walking the dogs.
Henry?
Well, you know, I mean, well, now that I'm a father, of course, like, you know, I've got my son to ground me, but like pre-COVID, honestly, like I was an adrenaline junkie. So I kind of like I was grounding myself in like these experiences of traveling and just checking out the world. But you know what, I realized as well, like I, like Mark, fell into a hole of just really disconnecting from the outside world. You know, if you tour, you can 100% disconnect from the world and just kind of live in the bubble, and that's not healthy. And so that's a great point to keep in touch outside of tour. You need to have that lifeline. You know, those friends that you come home and, like Mark said, life has gone on for them. But you need to have that anchor to pull you back, because you can't live out there in the bubble. You lose yourself.
I've always said
in the past too is I've even done Legos at a certain point just to like have something to do with my hands and my mind and keep my mind occupied when I've had time off. Another thing I like to do when I lived in Nashville is I had get-togethers with touring people while they're off. I mean, Mark would come to them off.
I loved it. My favorite thing.
Again, it's the opposite of what we did when we were on the road, was keeping in touch with our people. But I would do events that would just be totally, I mean, not about work, but just about bonding. In Nashville, it was a really easy thing to do because there's so many people, but it was a good opportunity to bring the rock and the country people together in Nashville and meet and integrate that. And we'd have sometimes a couple hundred people there, that it was just a good time to like meet people that you didn't really know very well, or get to develop relationships. And I'd invite hotel people and, you know, jet people, bus companies. And we just, you know, just a giant conference we'd have that was just nothing but social and getting to know each other.
Yeah.
I was just the young, nervous tour manager sitting in the corner, just like waving at everyone as they all talk to each other. That's my interaction, hanging out at gyms, get-togethers. So, but
okay, I think we're going on to our last point.
On to you, Henry.
All right. Well, our last segment today is called "Do the Thing." It's wherever you are, whatever the local thing is there, do it. We have an amazing job where we get to travel and see new places, and every city, everywhere you go, has something unique about them, whether it is some food, a museum, some point of interest. You know, you may be just around the corner from like an amazing gem that you would never have known that was there. Or it could be something absurd, like, look, down the street, there's like the world's largest ketchup packet. Like, you got to go see whatever the crazy thing is, whatever their fun new food is. Like, try this place out, go do it, because you will experience the local culture that makes that place great. And you get to, bring those stories back with you and remember it and share it with others. And so we say, wherever you are, go do the local thing. Anyone want to add to that?
Something I mentioned yesterday was that I really like to, instead of like if I'm at a hotel or if I know people in that town or if I've met stagehands there before or something, instead of saying, hey, what should I go do? Because I feel like they always are trying to see it through your eyes. I say, what would you do? Like, I always phrase it like, hey, what if I see somebody cool at the hotel, it looks kind of cool, like they might like to do the same things that I do. I'll be like, hey, what would you do if you're going out? So like inevitably, instead of sending me to some tourist spot, they start thinking about, well, I would go to this dive bar. Like, I found some really great places that way. So that's my tip.
Yeah, I found that, some of the best places that I've been in this world, I found by accident. I just went exploring. I used to do this thing for years where wherever I was on a day off, I would just start walking, and I would make it a game. And like, if I'm going to keep walking this way, but if the light's red when I get there, I'll turn left. If it's green, I'll go straight. The next one, if it's red, I'll turn right. And it'll just make me get lost all over the city. But I've really gotten to, hit the pavement and know so many towns all over the world.
Yeah.
And that's one of the greatest things that I think I'll take with me in this was seeing the world. That's the number one thing. And so yes, it's important to rest. Take time for yourself in your hotel room if you need it. But if you can at least walk around the block and look at some things, try a little bit each day.
I couldn't agree more with my colleagues. It's like we focus so much on becoming the best tour manager we can be. We don't realize subconsciously we're becoming the best tour guides for all these cities at the same time. And we go back and it's like a little light bulb goes off and you're like, I know we can go here, 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 here. It's like I'm a local that's lived in all these cities. And that's a kind of fun skill set. You just don't really realize that you're going to pick up over the time as you go from, everywhere around the world with your artists, and always try to find something fun to present on a day off if you can.
I like that. Yeah, you tend to become the de facto local tour guide. Your crew or your artists are going to be like, well, it's the day off. What do we do? Where do we go, tour manager? What's the thing around here? And you better have that answer and be like, well, let's go do this. Let's check this out. Research it the week before, and it create those experiences. It's obvious when you go to like do a show, if you ever get to go play a show in like Johannesburg, you go to Africa, make sure you have planned taking your artists on a safari.
Take yourself on a safari.
Yeah.
Take yourself. Literally, I did it. I arranged a meetup at 2:00 in the morning in the lobby. We went out, we did what they call a game drive in the early morning. And I was back before anybody knew that I was gone.
Yeah, that's typically how you have to do it, is like get up and go before bubble.
That's how I saw the Vatican. I saw the whole Vatican in 90 minutes.
Right.
Like ran around and like
I definitely ran through the Vatican
and stopped in front of the things I really wanted to see. Like I stopped at certain things. Other than that, I just
sometimes a ninja viewing is better than no viewing.
I did the Vatican with my 5-year-old son in an hour, just pulling him through the Vatican with me.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what? Another thing, as I say, do the thing. You can also do it on tour, but I will end it wherever the tour ends. I'll stay a couple extra days and then stay and do the thing there, and I'll just make sure my flight is a couple days later. Understand that when you do that, that's that cost is on you, but that's still, you're taking the time to see the world.
Also a good way if you have a significant other to like have a mini vacation too, that's cheaper too, because flying them out so you can stay for a couple more days and then flying home together is a good way to think about bringing, building that relationship too.
Yeah, if you do get that relationship with your artist and team, always look to kind of, if you have that window, like I flew to Rome 5 or 6 days before our Europe tour kicked off a couple years ago, and got to do Rome for 4 or 5 days, and it was just such an incredible opportunity to see.
And going ahead of time also gives you the opportunity to advance, check out the hotel, be ready for them when you're there, and kind of do advance. I've done that before too. I've gone in, but make a vacation out of it is a good way.
I've gone in a day or two ahead of an artist before. Like if we just thought that, I just really want to be on top of the hotel and be there when you guys arrive. But that puts you there 24 to 48 hours ahead of the artist. And so it's like, I could go out to dinner with the promoter. Or I could just I remember doing it in Hawaii once, and I was like, I spent the morning on the beach, and it was like, and I was still working, because I was right at the hotel and I was making sure everything was okay and all the rooms were prepped right. But I got a little bit of me time, so that was cool.
Do we want to take some questions? See if we have any questions. I think.
Yeah, because there's definitely more than 10 tips, but we wanted to leave some time for anybody to put in the chat.
Hey guys, I'm sorry if I'm wrong on this, but did we talk about continuing this conversation on Clubhouse this week too?
Yes.
So I think we're going to be
Oh, yeah.
So if anybody wants to think more about examples of things that they suggest, we'll be on Clubhouse on Wednesday night too to discuss this some more.
And I think we
There was
should
actually,
add
go on.
the strangest utensils you've ever had a meal in your hotel room with, because there's some cute ones in the chat. Bring them with you to Clubhouse on Wednesday if you join us, because we'll
I
have a
wanted
little
to-
fun lightning round.
Travel
I
with
was trying to answer.
chopsticks.
Yeah, I was trying to answer a question that was on YouTube chat, but for some reason it won't work. So I'm going to answer it here. Moonbeam Smith asked, "Can you define the difference between tour and road managers?" And so I think the best way that I can describe it, just really briefly, is a tour manager is kind of oversees the whole tour. On a smaller tour, you would be traveling with the band and with everybody, but on a larger tour, where you have a separate artist party, which we call A party, with the principal artist or artists, and band of dancers, which is B party. There would be a road manager, or sometimes called the assistant tour manager. It's a kind of a flexible title, but they would travel with the B party. So it's more or less the difference.
And I think also that depends on the size of the tour, because there are some A parties that split the logistics and vehicles. For example, I know that the Springsteen organization, which is got a lot of principals, a lot of folks on that stage. So their road manager is specifically about the vehicles of the day. Who's in what vehicle, how many people are in each vehicle, when do they leave, when do they return, where do they go? Sometimes if you're on a big tour, it takes, a person to handle ground. So that's split up in a number of ways. And I'm sorry, Moonbeam, I think we both tried to answer you. I typed it out, but YouTube didn't want to let us multitask today for some reason. All right. Anybody else?
Looks like we've kind of hit our finish line today.
The chat was super active today. Thank you guys so much.
This was such a wonderful episode. We had a lot of great fun today, touching on our top 10. We know there's a million more tips out there. So I know Clubhouse on Wednesday is going to be an awesome extension to the conversation. We'll make sure to note on our socials, just because I know that everyone's in a different time zone, but we are going to go into a 2-week break. We'll make sure to remind y'all, we will not have a webinar next Monday or the following Monday. Just to make sure you note that on your calendar. And we are super excited for what's next, and we will keep you posted on everything that's coming up for TM 101.
And a quick follow-up to Moonbeam's question, Galen Henson, who is joining us today as well. You can't see this, Moonbeam, because this is in the Zoom chat, but to follow up what I just said about road managers, they had 3 road manager/wranglers on the last Springsteen tour, which is different from the tour director and tour management. So bigger the tour, the more positions, lots of people to wrangle. Everybody have a really fantastic couple of weeks. Happy Passover to those who celebrate. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. Happy spring to everyone enjoying the springtime. Hopefully everyone is well and healthy. And we will see you back in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, 2-week break. So on the 3rd week, 2 weeks off. Lorraine, you heard?
When we come back, we're going to have a test on Spinal Tap. So watch.
Yeah.
Pop quiz.
Watch it over the break.
Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.